Hi, Valerie. Hi, Hind. Hi, Simran. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our last one by one for the Half Penny for Public Schools call. We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. As we get started, again, please feel free to introduce yourself via the chat to your fellow attendees and make sure you send a message to all attendees so everyone can see your message. I'm Rachel Tutwiler Fortune, and I'm the president of the Jacksonville Public Education Fund. We are an independent think and do tank working to close the opportunity gap by bringing best practices to scale in our public schools. Tonight, we are thrilled to hear from several speakers who will inform you about the half penny for safe modern schools. We'll start with a conversation with Superintendent Dr. Greene to answer some common questions and clarify some common misconceptions about the half penny. And then we'll turn it over to my dear friend, Cindy Edelman, a former JaxPEF board chair, former art history teacher, and a tireless advocate for public schools, who will lead a conversation with Travis Pinkney and Alicia Bauman. 10 years ago, Travis and Alicia told their stories as young leaders in JaxPEF's One by One campaign, which sought to bring the public back to public education and led the adoption of community-supported priorities for Duval County Public Schools. We'll hear how education helped transform their lives and why they are supporting the half penny today. We're going to wrap up tonight by inviting you to take action to make sure this referendum passes on November 3rd. That's less than a month away. We are excited to see its passing and what that's going to mean for our community. We'll actually take a chance to do that right now to really help spread the word in our community. Before we go any further, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dryden Mills, who's going to invite us to take action. Dryden?
Thanks, Rachel. Hey, everyone. So we are now broadcasting this conversation on Facebook Live, where we've been reaching thousands of people about the half penny through this series of community calls. So you're probably here because you care about public schools, but now we need your help reaching out to your friends to get them involved. Early voting starts next week on Monday, and about 60,000 voters have already sent in their mail-in ballots. And we want to make sure we're answering voters' questions about the half penny so they feel ready to vote yes. So let's all go to Facebook right now and share the live stream of this event for our friends to join in. Check the chat for the link. My colleague Stephanie is posting it there right now. And hit the escape key to exit Zoom and head over to Facebook to post the link and tell your friends why you're supporting the half penny. And while you do that, we're going to play a very special song for you by one of our speakers tonight, Travis Pinkney, about believing in your dreams, the very topic that brings us together tonight. And then we'll come back to the conversation here.
Tell my dreams I'm on the way, I'm on the way, I'm on the way. And I ain't got no time to play, no time to play, no time to play. Cause I got that mind and that muscle, that grind and that hustle, that heart of a champion. So they got that mind and that muscle, that grind and that hustle, that heart of a champion. Every minute I'm spending, I'm living, I'm gonna go all the way. No, that I'm living, I'm building, I'm waking, I'm giving my all today. Ay, got no time for no hater, bye, see you later, I'm on the plane. Ay, cut from a different cloth, yeah, but taking off, I'm from the plane. Ay, and I ain't got no time to play. Every lesson had me stressing, had to pray. And I ain't hearing what they say. I told them I'ma still make it anyway. From the bottom with imagination, negativity is gasoline. Haters say you ain't going up, turning words into trampolines. Jumping in the air like, hey, yeah, I'm on my way. Somebody tell me what you gonna say. Tell my dreams I'm on the way, I'm on the way, I'm on the way. And I ain't got no time to play, no time to play, no time to play. Cause I got that mind and that muscle, that grind and that hustle, that heart of a champion. So they got that mind and that muscle, that grind and that hustle, that heart of a champion. Time to prepare for the fight of my life, just like a flag, I earn these stripes. Situation was a punching bag.
All right. Well, wasn't that song just perfect? Travis, I am inspired by your art and just you're a man of many talents. And I just want to thank everyone so much for your help spreading the word. We're really, really grateful and know that because you are a part of this movement, we're going to reach the masses in our community. Tonight, we are so excited to welcome Superintendent Dr. Greene, who will be answering questions that have been frequently asked by the community. Dr. Greene, welcome. Thank you so much for your leadership on this issue and for taking the time to speak with voters tonight.
Well, thank you, Rachel. It's indeed my pleasure and honor. I do have to remind everyone, as superintendent, I am only allowed to educate our community why we are seeking a referendum. And as I've done a number of these, Rachel, sometimes I'll leave when we get to advocacy, just so that there's no question and that I've remain committed to my responsibility as superintendent. Very quickly, I'm going to go through a PowerPoint, and I'm hoping that many of the questions that I've received, that the PowerPoint actually will answer those questions, but if not, I'll be more than happy to address any questions. And Rachel, do you want those questions to come through the chat or?
Yes, please. If you have questions for Dr. Greene, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll be able to elevate a few, hopefully at the end of her presentation.
Okay. Well, thank you. So again, I'm honored to be here tonight to talk about my favorite thing, Duval County Public Schools. But unfortunately, we have some of the oldest schools in the state of Florida. As you can see, this graph here represents the Big Seven, the 7 largest districts in the state of Florida. And as you can see, Duval County has on average the oldest schools in the state of Florida. By DOE's account, the average age of our schools are about 44 years. That it's a little misleading because anytime you make an update to a school, that takes age off of the years of the average age of a school. So one of our oldest schools, Annie Morgan Elementary, is over a century in age. The school actually is about 120 years old, but when you look at it on the Department of Education, its average years is 76 years. So that's what I mean by, even though we still are the oldest schools, they're older than 44 years. So many people ask, well, how did you get to this point? And why do we have such old schools? And why now are you trying to make the change for these schools? Back in 2008, when we had the Great Recession, we were funded for capital through millage. That is how we received funding to do capital upgrades. And 2008, when the Great Recession came, we were cut from 2 mills down to 1.75. And then 2 years later, in 2010, we received an additional cut, which brings us down to our current millage, 1.5 mills. So over that time, we've lost over $300 million in funding. And guess what? Our deferred maintenance at this time is about over $300 million. So that answers the question why we haven't been able to maintain our facilities, because the funding was cut since 2008, and the deferred maintenance is equaling the same amount that used to be covered through state funding. But that's not the only reason why we still have the oldest facilities in the state of Florida. Another reason is many districts have gone out to receive additional revenue since 2008. As you can see in this chart, we have a list of counties: Orange, Osceola, St. John's, and Clay in Duval. As you can see, each of the counties above Duval have other additional revenue sources. Impact fees. Just so we're clear, impact fees can only be spent on new construction that is garnered through growth. So if you don't have growth happening, you can't use impact fees to build a new school. But the districts above us, as you can see, they've taken full advantage of the impact fees. These districts also have taken advantage of a sales surtax. They have taken it to their voters. Orange County, you can see $236 million in surtax funding. They received enough funding that 2 years ago, they were able to build 11 new schools and pay cash for those 11 schools. And that comes from their impact fees and the sales surtax. And as you can see, St. Johns County has a sales surtax. Clay County is a part of a sales surtax, and Duval County, as you can see, zero. So these two factors, one, the Great Recession and cut in millage, and the fact that we do not have an additional revenue source, leads to why our facilities are the oldest in the state of Florida and the maintenance backlog. Over the next 15 years, if we are not able to have an additional revenue source for our backlog, we're going to have over billion, not million, but $1 billion of backlog caused by, again, declining state funding, deteriorating buildings. So part of this referendum, the goal is to remove that backlog from our future books. Two, we're not just asking for our community to give funding without the district making some hard decisions. We are consolidating small undercapacity schools to increase resources and cut overhead. Our master's facilities plan has over 30 schools that possibly will be consolidated. And the goal is, if we're going to consolidate and close those schools, is to build a brand new school for those students. Currently, we just went through 2 consolidations this school year. The opening of the Northwestern Legends Elementary School, we were consolidating St. Clair Evans and Carter G. Woodson. North Shore Elementary, we consolidated Lake Forest, and next year we'll consolidate Brentwood Elementary into those schools. Those schools have either been they're much newer, or they've gone through a major renovation. So Northwestern Legends, we just did a $2 million renovation to that school. And if this referendum moves forward, we will go to phase 2 for another $2 million renovation to that school. Build new schools where needed and aim to remove all portables. Sandalwood High School, our largest school in Duval County, serves close to 3,000 students. Today, they have over 35 portables on their campus. The goal is to build a new wing to remove those portables for that school. We have over 450 portables district-wide that we are aiming to remove off campuses. Safety and security upgrades at every traditional Duval school. Many people ask me, well, what do you mean by safety and security? One of the priorities of the school board is that all of our schools have fencing that covers the entire perimeter. We still have some schools that, yes, we have a lot of fencing, but there are areas that we haven't been able to upgrade the fencing. Security measures, every single one of our schools has a buzzer system that that you have to be buzzed in. But for some of our schools, when we buzz an individual in, they have access to everything in the school. And that's where we're going to upgrade those safety and security measures. Every school is different. And so every school will receive that custom safety and security for their building. And then last, but definitely not least, provide all students with today's tools for tomorrow's careers. Technology is ever changing. As you see now during this pandemic, Duval County was one of the leading school districts to give students technology so that when we went to Duval Homeroom for the entire school district, we delivered over 40,000 laptops and over 5,000 hotspots so that all of our students had access to online learning. And now that we're back in school with brick and mortar, the question people sometimes ask, well, aren't you going to have more needs for teaching students remotely? What we are seeing is that's not the case. We think we have a great Duval homeroom program, but many of our students still struggle. Many of our students don't want to be on computer all day. They want to be in a space with their friends where they can engage with their teachers. So we see the future that we will still need brick and mortar. And when we have an up-to-date facility, then our students have access to 21st learning opportunities through technology. Legislation has changed this past year as it relates to raising surtax sales dollars, that charter schools now must receive their fair share. So charter schools will receive a per student allocation from the referendum, and a couple of slides from now, I'll show you how much charter schools will receive over the 15 years. High quality facilities actually impact learning. When we talk about acoustics and noise, air quality, lighting, room temperature control, classroom size and space, and 21st century teaching, I go back to my little school, Annie Morgan. When I go into Annie Morgan, I'm hoping no one needs to reach me because cell phone service does not work in that school because of the age of that school. Even though we have Wi-Fi, it is very challenging and expensive to keep that Wi-Fi working. And so the students who attend Annie Morgan Elementary aren't getting the same access to 21st century teaching than students that are in newer facilities, or at least much younger facilities. The acoustics, when you walk down the hallway of Annie Morgan, students that are at the end of that hallway can hear me coming the moment I walk in the door because of that noise, because of the acoustics inside the classroom. So facilities do impact learning. It has the opportunity to enhance learning, and it has the opportunity when you're continually in an aging facility to not allow a student to have the most optimal learning environment. Other things that will enhance our community. This is going to promote recruitment of new businesses to the city. It'll improve property values for desired neighborhoods. This will be our own instant economic stimulus plan for the city of Jacksonville. We are hoping to have projects ready to go in January that basically they call shovel-ready projects, so that we can start supporting our community, whether it's community businesses that were late to construction, but moving forward, we can provide that stimulus that we need to our economic. It will improve the health for students and employees. Our maintenance department is phenomenal. There isn't a day, and well, maybe today I didn't have a text that told me we had an HVAC system down, but almost daily, I'm getting a text message that tells me the HVAC system is down at such and such school. Maintenance is on the premises, and about an hour or an hour and a half later, we'll get a text, maintenance has fixed the issue. Many times maintenance is keeping these HVAC systems running, but if it was to completely go down, we have to go out and get customized parts because these systems no longer exist. So they don't make parts for these systems anymore. So our maintenance department is keeping our systems running to ensure that our students can enter into aging facilities, but yet it is safe and conducive for them to learn. One of the things that's important, all money collected in Duval stays in Duval. The average cost per family is of a family of four is about $6 a month. In addition, people, when they visit our city, will be contributing to the sales tax. About 20% of dollars raised will come from people from the outside of Duval County. So when you look at our master's facilities plan over the 15-year period, the cost of that plan is about $1.91 billion. When we look at what would the average amount we would raise yearly from this surtax. Actual revenue from the sources of the Florida Department of Revenue is about 110 million. We are reducing that. As we know, we're going through a global pandemic and it has impacted our economy to about $102 million. There'll be times that one year that'll be higher, other times there may be a year that that's lower. So we are always using a conservative average. But if we average about $102 million per year over a 15 years, which is the maximum we can leverage a half-cent sales tax, it would equate to about $1.76 billion. And as you can see, that still does not reach the cost of the master's facilities plan. So even with interest, that's another $28 million. And then we understand we will have to pull dollars from our 1.5 mils. We believe over the next 15 years, we will need to allocate a little over $440 million. Then we must remember we have to give our charter schools their fair share, and over a 15-year period, we believe that will be a little over $324 million. So by the addition of our 1.5 mils, we believe we can meet the $1.91 billion that master's facilities plan is allocated to be budgeted. Now, one might ask, well, who's going to ensure that you spend the dollars where you say you're going to spend them? Part of the board's initiative is to also put in an oversight committee, an independent citizens oversight committee. And the board has identified organizations, citizens, they will be identifying individuals that will be on that board, and it will be their job to hold us accountable. It'll be their job to ensure that whatever's in that master's facilities plan, that we accomplish that with those tax dollars. So I believe that having that master's facilities plan, having an oversight committee, that is why we're seeing that the public is supporting this half-cent sales tax based on a poll that was done by JaxPEF in 2019. It shows that 78.5% of the respondents would strongly support or somewhat support a small tax increase to fund school facilities. So I'm about to close, but it is very important that you go to this website, ourduvalschools.org. On that website, you can see the master's facilities plan. You can see the timeline when projects are slated to begin or hopefully completed. If you have an individual school that you'd like to find out what's happening for that school, you can just click on that individual school and it'll come up. What are the things that will be provided for that school through this referendum? If we have a moment, if Rachel, if your team could go to ourduvalschools.org, I could just quickly show them where they can find more information, because for me, the more you're informed, the more you will be able to share information with your family, your friends. Again, my goal is to educate you about the need and why we brought this referendum forward to our community. And I'm sure you're going to hear from others who can tell you why you should vote in a certain way.
Awesome. Yes, Dr. Greene, we'll pull that site up really quickly. And as we do that, we actually have two quick questions that came in that I think are somewhat related. They're basically asking, are there any matching dollars within or grants within the city of Jacksonville available to assist with the modeling of public schools? And the second question is, have any lottery funds been allocated to help assist with the remodeling?
Lottery funds, first and foremost, are only for operations. The lottery dollars cannot be used for capital funding. And at this time, almost 98% of lottery dollars are used for Bright Futures. School districts no longer receive the funding from lottery dollars that we used to in the past. Secondly, We currently do not have any grants with the city as it relates to capital improvements. We do have grants with the state of Florida. We have what we call the safety assessment grant. We apply for it every year. That grant helps us to add additional fencing. It also helped us to pay for our emergency notification system. So a teacher in any classroom anywhere on the campus can actually notify the front office, notify 911 if there is an issue. So we utilize those dollars for any capital expenditure that is tied to safety. However, those dollars have been, I don't want to say dwindling, but each year it seems to be a smaller pot of funding that we can apply for the grant. There's also been a question about, are we utilizing any of the referendum dollars for name changes? And I want to clarify, no, those dollars aren't being utilized for if the board happens to change any of the names related to the Confederate soldiers. That conversation has been happening at the board. However, there are a couple of those schools that are slated to change. All of a sudden, I've just gotten a brain fog about which school it is, but one of our schools currently, that's a middle school, is going to convert into an elementary. And so if that name change will have to happen regardless, and we will use referendum dollars when we renovate that school, change its signage, change everything. So I don't want to mislead anyone that, yes, currently Jefferson Davis Middle School, it is slated to change into an elementary school. And so when it goes through its major renovation, the name will change and we will use referendum dollars to utilize whatever the new name of that school will be.
Awesome. No, thank you, Dr. Greene. And you probably noticed we didn't pull up the slide. We realized that we need you to stop screen sharing in order to pull it up.
Oh,
I forgot about that too. It's okay. So really quickly, we'll pull that up. Dr. Greene, we're so grateful for you taking the time to be here with us this evening and sharing this important information. So glad we're able to get to those questions. Here's the site Dr. Greene referenced.
Yes, and if you click on see the plan, there you can view the master facilities plan, you can view the draft plan priorities, and you can also view specific schools. So any of the three links will take you directly to information that you may be seeking.
Awesome.
And it's also by school board member district. Yes, if you click on see each school, as soon as you click on a school, it takes you to the page and it tells you how much is going to be spent on that school. It kind of gives you a brief summary about what will happen for that school. In this particular case, this school will be replaced. It's a brand new school.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everybody, please, 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 as you can see, a wealth of information on that site. And as Dr. Greene shared, we know that she can't advocate and she can only inform. So I'm going to just take a moment to advocate myself right now and just say the half penny is back on the back of the ballot. So we encourage you and everyone you know to please start with schools and vote for the half penny before you move on to other items on the ballot. On Monday, this upcoming Monday is the very first day of early voting, and JaxPEF is going to be doing a social media takeover day for the half penny. So please join us and help get the word out to your network so we can make sure this thing passes. Thank you so much, Dr. Greene. We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I now want to turn to the theme of this campaign for the half penny, one by one. Since the founding of JaxPEF, we have sought to bring the public back to public education and to make our community one that stands up for public schools. To lead us in this conversation, I'm going to hand it over to Cindy Edelman. Cindy was crucial in the foundation and the founding and the growth of JPEF over the past 10 years, and we are so excited to have her with us this evening. Cindy?
Thank you, Rachel. I'm so happy to be here to have the privilege of reintroducing two very special people, people that I respect and admire tremendously. I'm sure you all will be inspired when you hear them speak. And don't worry, it'll be soon, but you know, I've got specific directions that I have to follow before we get to them. But they are also people that I've watched grow over the last 10 years. And it's such a pleasure to be in conversation with them this evening. Alicia Bowman is our first speaker tonight in a few minutes. She is the Managing Director of People Operations and Strategy at City Year Jacksonville. And if you don't know what City Year is, it helps the bottom quartile of students and schools succeed by bringing AmeriCorps members to provide supports to students, classrooms, and the entire school. I mean, for me, I think when I think about City Year, I think about the Peace Corps for education. Think about it that way. And then we have our second speaker in the conversation is Travis Pinkney. And Travis is the founder and CEO of College Red. College Red provides engaging college career and life readiness videos and live programs to the whole gamut of the education spectrum. And it also engages and services parents and supports parents, educators, and advisors with culturally relevant tools to engage students and help them succeed. So before we start our conversation with Alicia and Travis, I want to recognize a few of the leadership team and thank them, those who really got, who lifted the One by One campaign and got it going. Many of them are on the call this evening, and your ongoing support for the half penny and for all that JPEF is doing is so appreciated, and we're so grateful that you're still supporting us, the work. Trezar, Pam Paul, Deirdre Connor, and of course our very own dear Rachel Tutwiler Fortune were the staff, the JPEF staff leaders who helped launch One by One. And then we have Ingrid Damiani, the very special photographer who took the 3x4 feet photos, black and white photos of the 20 students that were part of the 1 in 3 campaign. And Ingrid, like Travis and Alicia, was also changed by One, and she's now teaching photography at Douglas Anderson School of the Arts. So you just never know when you get involved with JPEF how your life is going to change. Then, of course, some of the other names that we would love to mention and thank are Diane Brunette Garcia and her team who conceived of the powerful brand of One by One. Hope McMath, the fearless Hope McMath, who was director of the Cummer Museum, who embraced what we were trying to do to really bring attention of the dropout problem and crisis actually to the community. And without hope, we would never have had 1,000 people on opening night at the Cummer. It was really quite extraordinary. So thank you, Hope. And then Michael Boylan, who's now moved on to the City Council, but at the time was the director of WJCT. And they made a documentary film of the 1 in 3 event. And then Alita Turner and Valerie Moore were also campaign coordinators, and I understand they're joining us tonight. So thank you all. And finally, I want to recognize the 1 in 3 students who were also featured in the exhibition along with Alicia and Travis, who really lent their stories, not only their images, but their stories that were so powerful and made the campaign the success that it was. So first we're going to start our questions with Alicia, and Travis, you'll get the same question, so you might want to listen up. So Alicia, can you share a little bit about the challenges that you faced in high school, and maybe some of the ways that you found, or the people you found who helped you succeed to reach where you are right this minute?
Sure, absolutely. I have to say it feels like a family reunion right now. So I'm really excited to be here. And Travis and I were talking, we were prepping, like, this is going to calm our nerves a bit because it feels like family. So thank you, Cindy, and everybody for all you've done to support us. Yeah, in high school, it was a really unstable time for me. You know, like many students, I don't think I was unique in the experience of divorce. For me, it came a little bit later in my high school career. I was, in addition to that, you know, turmoil started, and I was actually asked to leave my home at a very young age. But luckily, I had community members that took me in, a family that I now call my own, that sort of loved me unconditionally, and they didn't have to. Teachers who helped believe in me, friends and family and their families loved me. I was given an opportunity to rely on people in the middle of a time I didn't think I had anyone. And, you know, like, for example, teachers that literally paid for my cap and gown to help me graduate because I wasn't going to be able to do it otherwise. And I think this really allowed me to focus on school, one, but then plan for my post-secondary plans and ultimately become a, you know, first generation college graduate. I mean, first, like, graduating high school, right? And then being able to even see college and become a college graduate. So yeah,
it was really something. Can you just quickly tell us about what was the step between high school to college? I know that it's a great story that what happened to you.
Oh yes, yeah. So, well, you mean like a part of the 1x1 and what happened? Yeah. So, the 1x1 was incredible. And, you know, I was telling my story as a part of 1x1. We, you know, traveled around and told story, and in the audience, there are people I had no idea. And I'll talk about how that felt later in other questions.
Yeah.
But there in the audience was the president of FSEJ at that time. And my story then was I wasn't in school, I was working, I couldn't afford to go through it. And the president heard that and ultimately was the reason why I got my associates. He, you know, helped me, you know, pay for college, gave me a laptop so that I could do online classes while I was working. It was incredible. So yeah.
Thank you. So Travis, what about your, what about the challenges that you faced? Talk about some of those and what, I mean, what besides your incredible perseverance helped you succeed?
Yes, ma'am. You know, we're always talking about breaking the statistics. So, you know, my statistics were growing up low income, number one, which trickled into me having low motivation, which as a result of that, I had low performance academically in the classroom. That low performance led to me not passing my state exam, and I wasn't going to graduate. Not only that, I was in preparation as I wanted to go to college, and I wanted to pass the ACT test, get a high enough score. And I remember once I did finally pass my state test, I said, well, let me try this ACT test one time. I took it the first time, didn't get the score I needed. Second time, didn't get the score I needed. But the third time I tried, didn't get the score I needed again. And so once again, having that low motivation, man, it really just crept up on me. And I said, you know what? I went from saying I can, and I added the apostrophe T and saying I can't. I just can't do this. And I would have gave up on a dream, and that dream was to go to college. So I had someone increase my motivation, and that was my uncle. He was the pastor of my church. He was my mentor. He was a police officer as well. So he kept me out of trouble. I was hanging around some people who were on the school to prison pipeline versus the school to college pipeline. And it was a crazy time in my life. But I had to persevere, and I took the test 4th time, failed it again, 5th time, 6th time, failed it again. But on the 7th time, I passed it. I earned an $80,000 scholarship through David and Ann Hicks. Rachel's also a Hicks Scholar. Woo, woo, woo. I pursued a bachelor's degree in elementary education, and I attained that bachelor's degree, as well as I pursued a master's degree in school counseling, and also attained that master's degree as well. So that's how I broke the statistics in my story.
Yeah, it's such a powerful and inspiring story. Just to hear you tell it, I mean, I've heard it numerous times, but every time I hear it, I just get chills because of your endurance and your willingness to work, roll up your sleeves and try it again. I mean, not many people would have that kind of drive. And I think it really speaks to your character. We're also happy, and especially happy and proud of you. All right, so Travis, this is the second question, and you go first. How did the One by One campaign help you find direction and find your voice and impact, in the community?
Well, I am an elementary school teacher, so I'm going to break it down to you guys in the 4 A's. We're going to learn 4 A's today, everybody. All right. So the first A is awareness. The One by One campaign helped me become aware of this 1 in 3 dropout crisis that was going on. I was supposed to be a part of that statistic of just giving up and dropping out. And from that place, I had something to get behind. I had a problem that I could be a part of the solution to help solve. And JaxPEF provided that community for everybody to have hands on deck to help solve this issue. So number 2, from becoming aware, they helped me go into what's called application. All right, so I had to apply some skills and get some information to apply things to the conversation. And so that was basically me sharing my voice, me sharing my story through the One by One campaign. So that was amazing. I was a part of a lot of small group conversations, a lot of forums. And then it went from me being a part of the conversation and applying my voice to then get into the acceleration, where I began to grow and learn what advocacy really was. I really didn't understand what it meant to be an advocate for education. And being a part of the One by One and JaxPEF, they really helped groom me to become more of an advocate by helping me harness the power of my own story and know how powerful that is to help the next generation. And so I began to facilitate the small group conversations, the forums, and then it even got even scarier because I'm with my sister Alicia. They say, hey, we want you guys to be the MCs for the convention for hundreds of people. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So, it really helped me grow and develop and accelerate in the area of my leadership. And they believed in me. Cindy believed in me. Everybody involved in JaxPEF believed in me. Rachel's one of the first people who had me get on board. The whole team, Myra, everybody helped me so much. The last piece was advocacy. I became an advocate, and I became an advocate for public education by not only getting my bachelor's and master's degree, but also going back into the schools. And I became a school counselor. And now today, I am running College and Career Red, which is a prepare for college, career, and life. And I'm advocating for the next generation to overcome the same obstacles that I had to overcome as well.
Well, you're an incredible role model. How about Alicia? I know I kind of jumped ahead when I asked you to talk about your college story, but what else? I'm sure you could talk a little bit how the campaign really helped you find direction. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't know why you made me follow my pastor, teacher, brother, and friend Travis. That is unfair. But that was fun when we got
I think you're up for the challenge.
Yeah, One by One was incredible for me. I reflect on it often, and it was really the first time that I processed my own life and my own story, and like in the most challenging way, mind you, like front and center in front of strangers, like there's nothing like head first, like processing. So as a human, I was able to do something that, you know, is really important for us all to like take a step back and understand like what's going on around me, you know, which was incredibly powerful. And, you know, a part of that, like I said, you know, there were some interesting folks in the audience that really lifted me up and prompted me to, you know, finish with my associates, which led to my bachelor's in leadership and organizational studies, which I, you know, never in a million years imagined. And I say too, when I reflect on this, it's where I learned my ikigai. And for those of you who don't know, it's a Japanese concept that means a reason for being. Like, you know, One by One and JaxPEF really helped me understand my ikigai, my reason for being. And that's usually when you identify that, it's, you know, a couple of words. For me, it's to make whole. And the One by One campaign helped make me whole. The people, you know, within education, surrounding education, helped to make me whole, which helped me realize the power in community. It was so incredible and something I feel so passionate about to this day. And that for sure was kicked off through the One by One campaign. Absolutely.
I told you all they're inspiring. All right, so Alicia, this question is for you. Can you share a little bit about your life today and what role you think public education played in helping you get where you are? I think you've really alluded to it. So just tell us about your life today.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely would not be where I am today without my education and the community who lifted me up and the teachers that went over and beyond. You know, I get to serve proudly as a part of an incredible education nonprofit here in Jacksonville. I am a proud bonus mom to a Duval County public school senior at Atlantic Coast. She was sitting right next to me, like eating her dinner, cheering me on, and then she's like, I gotta go. But, and, you know, proud wife to my husband, Joshua. We've been married for almost 7 years, together 11. He was around in the early days of One by One, actually, which is fun. And, you know, really engaged in my community. I love Jacksonville so much. And I have to say, experiences like One by One and Leadership Jacksonville and all these other cool things that One by One really opened the door to helped me really appreciate this city in a way I didn't before One by One. So, yeah.
Terrific. Thank you. And Travis, why do you think the vote on the half penny is such an important moment for Jacksonville, and what difference do you think it will make for young students?
I believe the half penny tax referendum is going to make a significant impact on students' lives. You know, when you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you think about achievement. You know, with our program, you know, our first cohort of students, we had 61 students at Raines High School, all bottom quartile, same issues I had, and 100% graduation rate, 93% college acceptance rate with our program. And so we're like, this is amazing. However, with that being said, that's achievement. They still have basic needs. And some of those basic needs are shelter, you know, to have, to grow and to learn and to develop in a place that's going to help accelerate that growth. And every student is like a seed. Once that seed is planted in the right ground, you're going to see it grow. You're going to see it flourish. You're going to see it develop. And so I feel like if we invest in the facilities, we're going to see more growth. Now, the cool thing about this growth is it's like fruit. You know, once that seed is planted and we get that fruit, guess what? It can continue to reproduce. Reproduce for who? The city of Jacksonville. You know, we're going to see students impacting the next generation and the next generation and the next generation and the next generation after that, because they can now educate other students. They're going to be the next set of teachers you're going to see. You know, for certain people, they're going to be teaching your grandchildren. You're going to say, I invested in that. I invested in their growth. And now they're teaching my child. So I believe that this is such a huge undertaking. This is such a huge moment for Jacksonville as a city. And I believe that, you know, a half a penny is a seed, but that seed is taking care of a basic need that every student needs. And that's having safety and shelter, and is going to a great cause. And my wife and I, we have 2 children, TJ and Bella, and they love their school. They're at Chafee Trail Elementary School. So it's not only a professional deal where it's like I'm an advocate of education. This is personal to me as a father for my children. So I say vote yes for the half penny. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for lifting your voices in support of public schools over these many years. And we're so lucky, the community's so lucky, and that you have emerged. I mean, you've really grown into such strong advocates for public. I mean, you were 10 years ago, and you just have gotten more polished and certainly more passionate. So thank you both very much. Before I turn it back over to Rachel, I was asked just to give a few thoughts about where we have come from in terms of JaxPEF's birth 11 years ago and where we to today and the half penny referendum. And I have to say that one of the strands of work that we started JaxPEF with was community engagement, and along with data and research and advocacy. And we constantly talked about the need for a referendum. That was 11 years ago. And, you know, one of the things, Rachel used the phrase, putting the public back in public education. And that at the very beginning of JaxPEF, we learned that only 20% of the community, 20% had a direct connection to the public schools. Either their child went to public schools or their grandchild, or they worked at the district offices. So that left 80% of Jacksonville that was, you know, not directly connected. And so we understood how important it was to engage the community. And we really became listeners. We wanted to listen to what people had to say, which was really the genesis of the 1 by 1 campaign. And then we had conventions and we had task forces and on and on. Myra can give more details if she chooses, but we really wanted to have this referendum. And so this is somewhat like closing the loop here, you know, looking at where we are now. And in particular, the dream has been realized with this campaign. And from everything I read about it, I mean, the public seems to be very much in support of it. So I do hope that all of the people watching tonight will vote for it, and with good reason. And if you know, the photos that the superintendent has shared are all, they're all actual, they're all true if you just take the time to go into some of our schools. So I thank you for supporting JaxPEF. And I'd also just like to say that one of the reasons that I think the half-cent sales tax campaign has gone so well is the leadership of JaxPEF. And I wanted to give special recognition and kudos to Rachel and her team, as well as Dr. Greene, whose vision and mission I hope will soon be realized. So thank you so much for allowing me to share my recollections. Back to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Cindy. Oh my gosh. I hope you guys will take a moment to read the chat. You have truly left us all so inspired. I'm like trying not to get emotional here, because what Cindy said about this being a full circle experience is so very, very, very true. And I just want to say to Cindy and to Alicia and to Travis and to Dominic, who's also on tonight, that, you know, it is you guys that really were the catalysts and the leaders that helped to put the public back in public education. I am so grateful and humbled to know you and to call all of you friends and just fellow laborers in the work to ensure that we are able to ensure our kids get the highest quality education possible. In sharing my own reflections, will just quickly say that I remember when the campaign was an idea. When Cindy and I were talking about this conversation, we remembered and reflected on the fact that we literally took a year to plan it out and to convene all of the amazing people who Cindy identified earlier, who played such an important part in the process of bringing the campaign to life. I remember when the exhibit was a concept that was inspired by very powerful exhibition on homelessness and community that Cindy, shared with us and connected us to. I remember when we visited Mobile, Alabama, to learn about their Yes We Can campaign, which really in many ways inspired the work that we were able to do through One by One and really the formula for success in our own community. I remember when we had 1,000 people come to the Comer, the opening night of the exhibit, and throughout the campaign, Travis's inspiring music just uplifting us and just keeping us so inspired. And I remember when we had our very first training for facilitators, and lots of amazing people across our city decided they wanted to step up and be a part of this very powerful process. And over that first year, we were able to travel the exhibit around the city, ensure that a representative sample of our community was a part of the process, and to come up with a vision that really spoke to what the city of Jacksonville wanted to see in its public schools. And here we are here today with such an important opportunity to just continue to further that vision through the half penny for public schools. So I just want to thank you all so much. This is my second stint with JaxPEF, and I pass the baton to our wonderful colleague, Myra, who took up the community engagement and mobilization mantle. And I'll turn it to her to share her reflections.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, Cindy, Alicia, and Travis. This is really a dream come true for me. As many of you who are in the call, you have been always there for me. You can tell Alicia and Travis can send me the bill now because I really never let them go. I recruited them for many things. And this is just really a testament, like it's a full circle of really bringing the public back. During the last 8 years, you have come to all the community engagements that we have invited you. JaxPEF has, engaged around 3,000 people every year in different capacity. So it is just really inspiring here and see and witnessing Alicia and Travis' success, because they are the example of when the community comes together, our children thrive. So this is the moment for us to really celebrate the amazing things that we have accomplished, but also to be, even more determined to really support our children. So the most important things I want to make the call for action is, first and foremost, vote. Most of you, please remember, early voting opens this upcoming Monday, October 19th, and goes through Sunday, November 1st. Remember that you can vote in person at any early voting location or drop your mail ballot off there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can find all the locations in DuvalElections.com. Make sure that you please commit that you're going to make a plan to vote right now. And if you don't have a way of getting there, please reach out to us. I personally will go and drive you or do whatever it takes, because this really matters. Also, we are asking you today, please talk to at least 3 of your friends. Invite them to vote. Make sure that they are really taking this seriously. Also, we have another opportunity on Monday. We want you to join us for our social media takeover for the half penny. And what we want is share a message for you why you're voting yes for the half penny, and encourage your friends to start hashtag starts with school. We all know that the quality of our public schools determines the quality of life in our community. So we have opportunities. If you don't have a yard sign, you still can come and get it in our offices. We are in downtown in the 4 East Adams Street. And also, please make sure that you really support our children. All our children deserve this opportunity. They deserve to have safe and schools that are really apt for their learning. So I just want to thank all of you. And I want to say, of course, as Rachel says, thank you to Cindy for her leadership, because for me, I'm just going from 20% of people who are engaged in education, we're expecting to really get the half penny passed by a great majority. So thank you so much. I'll send it back to you, Rachel.
Awesome. Thank you, Myra. And I just want to thank each and every one of you so much who took the time to join us tonight. We truly appreciate you. Thank you to Dr. Greene for her presentation and just insightful information earlier this evening. Thank you so much to Cindy Edelman, Travis Pinkney, and Alicia Bauman. It was so great having all of you here with us this evening. To all of our attendees who listened to these inspiring stories, we really appreciate it. On behalf of JaxPEF, I appreciate your support of public education. Don't stop now. Take those actions that Myra just outlined. November is almost here and every vote counts. Thank you and have a great night.